On today's video, I'm going to be making this body blank for the massive bass guitar I'm building. And yes, a screen door will be an integral part of the process. So without further ado, let's get into it. So in the last video, I came up with a design for the bass I'm building. It's going to be pretty huge. That said, I did some research and the overall length will still be less than a Gibson Explorer bass. So it's not that crazy. So I took the measurements to my local wood supplier and picked up this piece of S4S maple. It's a 7-foot long 2x8, so the actual measurements are 1.5 inches thick by 7.5 inches wide. The nice thing is it's surfaced on all 4 sides, which will be helpful because I don't have a joiner or a thickness planer or a thickness sander. That said, I can't just chop this up and glue it together. Just because it's surfaced on all 4 sides doesn't mean those surfaces are straight or square. I will say the surfacing done does get me a bit ahead compared to a rough sawn board, like the one I'll be making the neck blank from. So the first thing I'm going to have to do with this maple 2x8 is cut into 3 equal length sections. I'm just going to mention, you'll see me using a miter saw and a table saw in this video. These are both capable of turning your hands into hamburger, among other horrible things. I don't see a lot of woodworkers on YouTube mention this, but I know a lot of people who haven't used any of these tools watch these videos. So I'm going to say it. If you want to get into woodworking, but don't have experience with tools, please get some in-person training. These tools are dangerous and can change your life forever in a heartbeat. All right, so I got the 2x8 all chopped up. I also ran it through the table saw to get some fresh edges on the pieces. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to get these edges ready to join without a joiner. But first, I'm going to show you why these edges aren't ready for gluing by clamping these boards together. So the next thing we want to do is arrange these 3 boards in a way so that the grain goes in opposing directions. So the first board has the grain kind of going in a frowny face direction. Then on the second board, the grain is kind of going in a smiley face direction. It's going in the opposite direction of the burns from the saw blade. And then in the third board, the grain is again going in a frowny direction. It's going in the opposite direction of the burns. So what I'm going to do is make some marks on here so I know what orientation they go in. So I'm just going to draw a circle over that joint. That's not even showing up on camera. You'll have to trust me about that. I'm doing a circle there and a square there. So then I'll know how these line up. All right, so I've got these 3 boards clamped together, and I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about. Well, there you can see the light coming through. So, I mean, I don't know. I hope you can see that light coming through these boards. So these are pretty close, but they're not good enough. I want these to be nice and close. So what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to get these boards to be perfectly flat without using a joiner so that we don't have any light coming through. Realistically, glue would probably fill that crack, but it's not going to look very good. Okay, so this is going to sound crazy, but what I got here is an old aluminum screen door. So this screen door is made out of extruded aluminum and it's actually got a nice flat profile to it. So what I'm going to do, I've already checked this and with my 4-foot level, and this is actually flat enough, this piece here, that we can make a sanding block out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly tear this screen door apart. I'm going to take this piece of aluminum out of it, and that's going to be our sanding block. That is how we are going to get the edge of our maple flat enough to join without using a joiner. Okay, so I just took apart this whole screen door, and these are all the pieces of aluminum out of it. All right, so what I've done here is I've taken the straightest piece of this screen door frame, and I cut it off. I cut out a 4-foot section of it, and this is going to be my straight sanding block. So I'm going to glue some sandpaper to it with some rubber cement, and we're going to use this to get the edges of our boards perfectly straight. All right, so there we go. I got my crazy 4-foot long sanding block that I made out of a screen door frame. So you can see I just cut it off. Obviously, I ran a file along these edges so I don't get a nasty cut. And then I just glued some 60 grit sandpaper to it with some rubber cement. So I'm going to use this crazy sanding block to make sure I get the edges on my maple body blank looking good. Good enough to glue. So I don't know if you can tell, but I just got this kind of jammed in here between this board here and that board over there. I'm going to take the board and actually just do one of these. But you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to make some marks on here. So it's just a carpenter's pencil. Just going to make some marks, and then this way we can see if we got any high spots or low spots. So you can see where it's taken it down here and here, but it's left it there. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll just do some more of these marks. They don't have to be X's, they can just be any kind of marks. Just letting the weight of the board do the work. Still low, but it's getting there. We're so close, I can taste it. So I've been rubbing in this whole board on my screen door sanding block that I got here for a long time, and all I have left is this little tiny spot here where you can still see the pencil. So I'm just going to sand this a little bit more until that's gone. So I just got done rubbing this board all over my screen door sanding block for like, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes. So definitely a lot slower than a joiner. But what I'm going to do is take my machinist square here and just run it down the length of this to make sure it's square. Spoiler alert, I already did do that and it is square. The other thing I'm going to do is take my 4-foot level here that I know is flat, and I'm just going to put it on top and look for light poking through. And there is none. So that tells me that I have gotten this surface of this board ready to join. So that means I only have 2 more boards to do, one of which is both sides. So it's probably at least another hour of sanding ahead of me. So I'm not going to show that on video. You guys don't need to see me sanding. You saw how I did this board. The rest of them are going to be the same. I'll jump back in when I'm doing my next dry fit where I clamp these all together, and I'll show you we don't have any more light coming through. Okay, so I got all the wood sanded down on that big sanding block I made. I got a test fit together. As you can see, I ended up switching the orientation of the boards. Before there was a square there and a circle there. I switched them around, and now I've marked it out with a smiley face. So I'm just going to hold these boards up to the light to show that there's no light coming through and it's a good fit. Okay, so now you can see what I was talking about. If we go to the boards, there's no light shining through any of those cracks. So that means we've got a good fit and we're ready to glue it up. So to glue it up, I'm going to be using some of this Titebond glue. This is what guitar makers typically use. I don't know if it's any better than this Lepage stuff, but yeah, I kind of don't want to mess this one up, so I'm going to use what is recommended. All right, so I'm just going to glue it up now. I'm going to put glue on each side of each seam. All right. So now we got glue on all of our surfaces. Let's get clamping. Okay, I'm just gonna flip this over now so it doesn't get glued down, and I'm gonna actually put on a couple more clamps. You know what? I'm actually gonna leave these out of here. Okay, so I actually did end up putting these big pipe clamps on. The reason being is it's good to have clamps on both sides of the board. So what I mean by that is I got these little bar clamps on the underside. It's good to have these ones on the top side. It just helps keep the board from cupping potentially. I don't know. It's what they told me when I was in wood shop in high school. So that's why I did it. These were just really tricky to get on here. So I was honestly getting upset filming it, but they're on here now. All right, so here we are. I've let this body blank dry overnight. And right now, I'm just getting ready to pull the clamps off it. All right, so we got our body blank here. It's dried overnight. I've taken the clamps off. Seems pretty good. We got our slab glued together. All right, so that's it for this video. The next thing I have to do with this body blank is scrape off all this excess glue and sand it to a consistent thickness. I'm going to leave that until after I cut the rough body shape out though. There's going to be a lot of cut off wood from this blank, and I don't want to waste my time sanding stuff that's going to end up in the burn pile. In the next video, I'm going to be making the neck blank out of a rough sawn, flat sawn board of walnut. If you want to see how I do that and aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for subscribing and watching my videos. So until next week, talk to you later.